Turn this up.
Woo!
I think you just made somebody wet their pants or crash their car. You're ridiculous.
You know what? God is good.
It's a good thing.
And because he is so good,
It's a good thing God's
we are
good.
loved. All the time. God is good. But we are not good all the time. See, left to our own devices, we can be some bad apples. And sometimes we can produce some bad fruit. But through God's goodness and his mercy, he made a way that we can still have relationship with him. Now, we are good to the core because of redemption. It's not about how bad we can be. It's about how good God is and how he took a sinner like you and a sinner like me and he created us for a purpose. We're talking about it all. The good, the bad, the wins,
the losses, life, love, and all of the above.
This
It's the Bad Apples Podcast.
Praise God.
That's right. It's been too long.
Yeah, it has
Been
been too long.
too long, my friend.
It's what? Not even a month yet since we released an episode, but it feels like it's been a year.
It does. It does feel like a very, very long time. But
Yeah.
I've been out of the country.
Yeah.
You have been working hard
On
in college.
missions? You were on missions?
No, I was not. I was
were
on
on
a cruise ship. It was great. Wonderful.
Cruise ship.
Cruise ship.
I like that.
After you and Kia get married, you ought to go on a cruise with us. It's so fun.
Oh man, we're so down. You know,
So
that.
fun.
You know that.
Yeah, it would be a lot of fun. So, you've never cruised before.
I have never. Well, I used to go cruising all the time in the streets,
Okay, that's not the same.
but not on a boat.
No. So the way, and I've talked about cruising before, I'm sure. Like
We have, yes.
The best thing is, it's you pay up front
Yeah,
and then you just go and have a good time.
yeah.
And this one was a little bit different because like you had to pay for some things on the ship as it went on, but like all of the dining, there was no specialty dining. Everything was included. So you want the super fancy awesome steak, do it. You want to go to the steakhouse, it's included. You want to go to the the upscale Mexican restaurant, it's included. All of it included.
Wow.
I had affogato, which
world is that?
It is gelato, and then they take espresso and they pour it over the gelato, and it is so good.
I don't even know
So
what you
good.
said, but it sounds good.
It's like ice
Hallelujah.
cream and espresso. So
Okay.
yeah, it was really good.
Okay.
And then you can add like chocolate chips or like little meringue drops or something in there, and it was good. And
Sounds
so
like you putting on airs. You fancy.
hey, oh yeah, that was awesome.
That's
and
fancy.
and there was like club nights and stuff like that where you go and dance, and it was a lot of fun. We got invited to a secret magic show.
What?
So all right, here's the story. I only want to tell you. I want to tell you a lot of stories, but I'm only going to tell you two.
Okay, tell me.
So the first story is it's sail away party, and on sail away party, everybody's on the top deck.
All right.
We're sailing out of Miami. Everybody's having a good time. The DJ's bumping music. It is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We're having a good time, and this guy walks by, but I recognize him as the on ship magician.
Okay.
Okay, they call him the Charmer.
You recognized him.
I recognize him.
All right.
So, I did a little bit of homework beforehand. And
Okay.
because you need to know this. My mission was to befriend this guy.
Really?
Because one of the
magician?
things because one of the things that they do on Virgin Voyage cruises, the cast, their happenings cast, they have some secret events.
Okay.
So if you befriend them, they might invite you to their secret event.
Wow.
So I want to make this guy my buddy. And so, because I want to get to this secret event. Like, this was my goal. And
This is a magic show?
yeah, a private magic show. There's going to be like 25 people there.
Okay.
And there's over 2,000 people on the ship. So only 25 people get to go. And they get to go because he's like, you know what? I'm going to get some secret tickets to your room. And then, that's the way it goes. So
Okay.
anyway, he's walking
Very
by.
speakeasy.
Yes, exactly. I have been on the ship for 3 hours.
Okay.
Okay. At this point,
Yeah, yeah.
my first chance I get with this guy, I'm like, dude, you're the magician. You're the charmer. He goes, yeah. I'm Mike. I'm like, all right, Mike.
He's Mike.
I said, I'm like,
Mike,
Mike,
magician.
dude, you got a trick. I love magic. You know, you got a trick, you know, that you want to show me. Like, I love card tricks and that kind of stuff.
Really?
And oh yeah, dude, like, it's his job to do magic tricks on the ship. It's not that crazy.
I mean,
okay, I didn't walk up to like a stranger who's never heard of cards before, you know, and ask them to do a trick.
Did anyone else recognize him as
No, heck no. I'm like, it's me, Emily, PJ, and Rahab.
You
know,
probably
like,
made this guy's day.
oh,
okay.
yeah, but he's okay. Everybody, there's other people on the ship that would recognize him. He's wearing a certain shirt, like it's it's got his name on it. It says the Charmer. It's not like that inconspicuous,
right?
But I stop him. I'm like, dude, you got a trick? Love card tricks. I'd love to see a card trick. He goes, man, I'm not really good at card tricks. I'm better at like, you know, mentalist tricks. But well, he's like, I got one. I want to try. I'm not very good at it, but let's try. And so he got a deck of cards, shuffled it up. He said, pick whatever card you want. Handed me the deck. I thumbed through and I picked the King of Diamonds. The King of Diamonds. Mm-hmm. All right. So I have the King of Diamonds. I show PJ, Rahab, Emily. And then he's like, all right, just put it back in the deck. Don't give it back to me yet. Shuffle it. So I put it back in the deck and I shuffle it. And then I hand it to him. And he goes, okay, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut the cards a couple times. And this top card, we're going to see if that's your card. Cuts it a couple times, flips over the top card, and he goes, this is your card. And it was a Jack of Clubs. I'm like, no.
Oh, man.
No, I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. He goes, hey, actually, here, will you hold on to this? Just put this in your pocket for a second. So he hands me the card. He hands me that Jack of Clubs.
Okay.
I put that Jack of Clubs in my pocket.
Yeah.
And then he's like, all right, I forgot to do something. And so he shuffles again. He snaps. He taps the top, flips it over. It's a Jack of Clubs. And he goes, wait a minute. He's like, I thought I gave you the Jack of Clubs. He said, look in your pocket. It was the King of Diamonds. I kid you not. King of Diamonds.
Okay.
No idea how it got there.
What a plot twist.
I know. Crazy thing. So my mind is melted. I'm, you know, like, PJ's losing his mind. He's like, he's a wizard. You know,
it sounds like witchcraft.
Yeah, exactly. No. And so I was like, man, that was awesome. He's like, find me on the ship. He's like, actually, wait a minute. I got a secret show.
No
you know,
way.
He's like, give me your room number. I'll send some secret tickets to your room and in your friend's room. Yep.
Dude, you made his day.
Oh, dude, he made my day because we got invited to. So, like, the way the tickets worked, it was like, you know, it said find somebody with a red scarf at the place that you would get a boost of energy. Yeah. So, like the coffee shop. Okay. So we go down to the coffee shop. We find the person with the red scarf, and they're like, just chill, you know. When when I start moving, you just follow me. Okay. And so, sure enough, like, she started moving and followed her. And, like, we went down
That's pressure.
to the bottom of the ship.
No way, dude.
The bottom of the ship.
No.
Like, we're down in the guts of this thing. It's not finished. There is, like, a speakeasy saloon sort of thing. They've got a bar in the back.
Of course they do.
When you go in, they take your phone and they put it in a locking...
Yeah.
They put it in, like, one of those locking pouches.
My gosh, my friend was just telling me about something like this in New York City.
It was crazy. And so they did that. We go in, we do the show. The show was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. And so that was, like, made my trip. It was
the magic show.
Oh my gosh, it was so fun. It was so fun. And it was like the thing, it was the thing that I really wanted to do that you can't sign up for. You know, you can't sign up for it. Yeah. Cody, I love magic.
I didn't know this, Garrett.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
How did I not? Like, I just feel like I learned something new about you.
Yeah, well, I enjoy it. I think it's a lot of fun.
Well, I know the listeners, they can't see your face when you're talking about this, but you have lit up like a Christmas tree, like a kid.
Oh man,
opening gifts, talking about this magic.
It is my favorite. Like, I love watching Penn and Teller.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Man, I hate it. Oh. Maybe I would like it if I was there.
Yeah, it'd blow your mind.
Yeah,
I mean, it was cool. He did some other, like, and in the show, he about made PJ cry. Like, not because he, like, embarrassed him or anything, just because PJ is very sensitive and
wow.
He's like, I get the impression that you just care a lot about people. And PJ goes, oh no.
Oh no, it's coming. Man, how do you know me? Are you prophetic?
Like, no. He's like, don't talk to me.
That's awesome.
And then he was talking to me, and, you know, we got what he did though is he had us pick a word at the top of, like, he handed me Peter Pan. He said, flip through the book, anywhere in the book, pick a word off a top line, any page. I don't care. Just pick a word, top line, any page. I don't care. Shut the book.
Yeah.
So I did. And the word was depart. And I closed my eyes. I shut the book. I didn't hand him the book. And this dude somehow figured out my word was depart. And I have no idea how it worked. I don't know if he has cameras. I don't want to know. I really don't.
Yeah,
it was fun.
No, you don't want to know.
I know he's not actually magic. That's
right.
That's ludicrous.
Good.
It's like people that go to wrestling. It's like, this is real.
Dude,
like,
don't even start.
I know. I do. I knew I poked the bear. But I want to believe, just like you want to believe, that The Rock really is a wrestler.
Yeah, man. He is. Thank you.
He is not. He's an actor.
Wow.
That's Maui.
That's not Maui. Before there was ever Maui, there was Rocky
Maui.
there was Rocky Maivia.
I think you're thinking Mari. That would be hilarious.
Maui?
No, yeah. It sounded like you said Mari.
I guess that's Moana.
Yeah, Moana.
Yeah, never watched it.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was story number 1. You want to hear story number 2, or you want me to save it? What are we at? We're like 11 minutes in on this thing.
Of course I want to hear
All
this.
right. Second story from the cruise.
Is it about magic?
No, it's about podcasts.
Oh.
So I didn't tell him. I didn't have the heart to tell him that I'm on a podcast.
Why?
Because he thought like having a podcast. I'll get there.
Okay.
So we are Emily's goal. They have an ice cream shop. Emily's goal is to try 10 different flavors of ice cream before we get off the ship.
See, that's a better goal than the magic show.
She'll go get ice cream 3 times a day.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. If we're walking on the 7th floor, hey, you think ice cream's open? I guess.
Try it.
So she goes and gets ice cream. I had to go back and like get her a water or something. And so I left for a second to go get water. She's sitting on this bench. I come back and she's talking to this woman. Mm-hmm. And so I come back and this woman, she is definitely from New York.
Okay.
Definitely from New York. You can hear it in her voice.
Oh yeah.
It's they're from Long Island. And so like that sort of thing. Lots of F words. But anyway, so she's chatting this lady up and I'm listening to her talk and that kind of stuff. And then she is saying that her husband, she and her husband moved to Florida after he retired and he was in the police in New York. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool,
NYPD.
Yeah. And so, but they wanted to move down to Florida where it's a little bit quieter, that kind of stuff. They have a little farm. And so I was like, chatting it up as Mr. from the Midwest, grew up around farms.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Anyway, this guy comes over and she had told us that like he's a big softie.
Yeah.
It's like, I was like, all right, cool. I'm kind of expecting this guy to be sort of quiet, a little bit more demure and like a little bit more subdued.
Demure?
Yeah. Like how I just wove that in there real casual. Anyway, he walks up and he goes, hey, how you doing? He's like, Joey LaBella, and gives me a big old handshake. And I'm like, oh man, you are everything that I wanted you to be. Yes, you are everything I wanted you to be. Turns out, Joey's like, I'm like, oh man, I heard that you were a New York cop. He goes, yeah. He's like, I was in on the DEA side of things, undercover, working with drug busts.
Oh my gosh.
He's like, you may have heard of me. Like I was in this thing where it was like a Dateline 2020 thing. And what had happened was he was undercover. He went undercover as a hitman.
No way.
And this woman, he's wearing a wire. This woman tried to hire him to kill this man and a kid.
Right.
And it ends up being this like thing that ends up on TV and like so he's telling and Emily
he said you might have heard of me.
Yeah, and Emily goes, oh my gosh, I have heard of you. She's like, I've listened to that episode multiple times. He goes,
are you kidding me?
Is it true that she peed herself when they arrested her? He's like, all over herself. It was the best thing in the world. And it's like, it was so fun. It was so fun. And so we get to chatting up and he's like,
that's crazy.
He's like, you never know what's going to happen, man. And so, and PJ and Rahab came over and they're talking to him too. And he gets to telling us about like, he's getting ready to start this podcast. And he goes, I'm really excited about this podcast. It's going to be great. He's like, I just said yes to it. And then, I don't know if you ever heard of like Dana White. He's like, Dana White's in on it now and he's making it happen. He's like, I have an agent now. They're like sending me all this equipment. We're crank out 6 episodes as soon as I get back. We're going big time with this thing. I'm
No
like,
way, dude. I don't believe
that's
crazy.
He gave me his card. So
I can't believe that he dropped Dana White's name.
Yeah. So
let's get him on the podcast.
Yeah, that would be hilarious.
Crazy.
Hilarious.
Hey, remember me from the cruise? Dude, I have a podcast too.
Yeah. He would totally do it. I think he would, honestly.
Yeah, dude. That's crazy.
Again, we would really have to break out the bleep tone button.
I would love that. Dude,
like
it's been sitting over there not being used for real purposes, and it would be perfect.
Yeah. He's got a crazy story about how like Jesus interacted with his life though.
Okay.
Like crazy story. And so just went through a lot of hard things, and then Jesus showed up and made a big difference. And he's like, I'm no preacher, but he's like, I couldn't tell you all the things in the Bible, but dude, God's my number one. And I'm like, all right. Okay.
That's how those New Yorkers are, man.
Yeah. That was pretty rough too.
That's crazy.
So yeah, it was cool though. This trip compared to last one, we talked to a lot more people. We met like some people that were on their honeymoon, and we ended up playing like millennial trivia with them.
Okay.
So they were sitting. We went down to this bar, and we were just waiting on PJ and Rahab.
Yeah.
So we were just chilling in there, and they were playing trivia. And I saw these, like, they're younger than me. And so I just saw them kind of doing their thing. It was just a couple, and they're talking about it. And they threw one question out there. Who was known as, like, the pop princess, or the punk princess, who had kind of a skater edge to her from Canada? And they're like, and they're kind of going back and forth on it. And I said, hey, it's Avril Lavigne.
Avril Lavigne,
and
for sure.
They're like, do you want to come sit with us and be on our trivia team? I'm like, I don't want to impose. And they said, it's just the two of us. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. And so Emily and I sat down. Yeah, that's right. It was fun. It was really cool. We ended up running into them in the airport too. And
wow.
I met a pilot, Robert the pilot.
What?
So
magicians, cops,
I'm sitting,
pilots.
Oh man. Like I've never like ever just sat at a bar before. Like never, like, just sat at a bar and just waited.
Right.
And so I was hanging out with PJ and Rahab, and we had gone down. There was this one bar that we got free juice at every day.
Right.
So I go down there to get my free juice. I meet up with PJ and Rahab, but then they had to leave for a phone call, and PJ was like, hey, just wait here and we'll come back. Mm-hmm. So I sit there. I'm like, all right, I'll just wait for them to come back. I made like 4 friends. It was great.
That's awesome.
And one of them was Robert the pilot. And so he flies for Southwest.
Hey, buddy.
And and I asked him, I'm like, do things ever go wrong? He said, no. And so, yeah. He's like, I've been flying for 14 years. Wow. He said the worst thing that's happened is the cockpit door got stuck, and I had to break it down because I had to pee. Wow. And the only reason that was a problem is that we had to put a drink cart in front of the cockpit door so that nobody would like know that there was no door separating us from everybody else. So
that's crazy.
Right? Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it was cool. It was a cool trip. Met a lot of cool people.
Yeah, man. It was fun. Joey LaBelle.
Yeah, LaBella. Joey LaBella.
Hey,
Joe LaBella, how you doing? That's how it is.
He sounds like
forget about it.
Straight from The Sopranos.
Oh yeah. Yep. No.
I love it.
Dude, it was hilarious. It was so funny. Anyway, that's 18 minutes now on the cruise.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah. It was super fun though. Met some cool people.
Yeah.
Ate a lot of really good food. A lot of really good food. I had steak every night.
Why wouldn't you?
And what was fun is I had the same cut of steak every night at different restaurants.
Okay.
And so you think, oh, it's about the same. No, like at the Italian restaurant, they put like some like cheesy risotto underneath, and it was fire. It was so good.
I don't generally like Italian food.
Yeah.
But that sounds good.
And then at the Mexican restaurant, they just took the same ribeye and they smothered it in cheese.
Oh,
so good.
Really?
Oh, it looked nasty, but
I feel like
it was
Gordon
good.
Ramsay would have a cow.
Yeah, he probably would, but
but it was good.
It was so good. And people rave about it. And then at the I guess I didn't get steak at Razzle Dazzle. What did I get at Razzle Dazzle? Heartburn. I got heartburn.
Fried food?
Yeah, it was actually because we went to, there's like this Greek restaurant that's on the back of the ship.
Okay.
And so they have what they call Opa Hour. And so at Opa Hour, again, all the food's included. So you get these big Greek mezzi platters and stuff, and they had this shrimp. That was amazing. Amazing. So good. But turns out I can only eat 2 before I'm in serious pain.
Really?
And so, yeah, it's just like, I don't know what it wasn't, but it was just like giving me some serious
was it fried?
heartburn. No. It's just like coated in butter or something. I don't know.
Gotcha.
But
2 shrimps?
Well, I
Or
could
2
eat.
platters?
No, I ate 4 shrimps, and 4 shrimps did me in. I did 2, and 2 was fine.
Okay.
So, yeah, just, you know,
Man.
that was my only problem that I had.
That's not a bad, I mean, you
We
know.
went to the spa. I've never been to a spa before.
Okay.
Because we got this package that included a spa pass, and so we went and did that. There was like a mud room, so I was super exfoliated. Super exfoliated. The most.
Was it like a pool that you got in?
No. Oh, no. That'd be crazy. Instead, they give you like basically a cup that you put dip in, and they have mud in it. And
Okay.
so I'm like, so I went and picked up the mud for Emily and I, and she said, "All right, you get 1 per person." I said, "Lady, have you seen me?" She goes, "It goes a lot further than you think." So,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay. And you just lather it on, or
slather it on you, and then you sit in this hot room, and then you sweat through the mud, and then I don't know, man. I'm not sure, but I will tell you this: like, I was alternating hot and cold, so they have cold plunges.
Oh,
and,
gosh, dude!
So it was awesome. Like, and you know,
you're gonna kill yourself.
no, I'm not.
Doesn't that kill you?
No, it doesn't.
Oh.
It actually helps with like inflammation and like.
Oh yeah.
And
If
so
you go from hot to cold,
yeah, you're good. Like,
wow.
it's
So it's a myth.
so if you do like sauna and then ice bath, like,
Right.
People do that. Like,
Yeah.
it's supposed to be hot and cold therapy. Is supposed to be good for you. Anyway, I don't know, but I will tell you, I waddled in there and I walked out just nice and refreshed.
Dude, that's
yeah.
crazy.
So,
What a time.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was a lot of fun. So
Yeah,
it was
man.
a really good trip. I can't wait till we go back. We've got when you're on the ship, they always give you an opportunity. Like, the best deal is always on the ship, and so we got this coupon thing that we can use for another voyage, and we save a bunch of money. So
Yeah. Man.
yeah, we're gonna do it.
You're gonna do it.
Yeah, and we had a hammock on our balcony. Emily was in love with the hammock on our balcony.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you went to Mexico?
No, we were supposed to go to Mexico, and then they changed it to where we went to Turks and Caicos. So we went to Grand Turk.
Wow.
Little teeny tiny island.
I hear it's
like,
amazing.
it's okay.
Oh,
I mean, it's the thing with the Bahamas, like, there's nothing there other than beautiful beaches.
Yeah.
So there's no industry other than tourism.
Yeah.
So people don't have anything.
Yeah.
So when you look at the houses and stuff, they're all run down,
Oh, gotcha.
because
Yeah.
people don't have anything except for the tourism industry, which, do they make money off it? Oh yeah. But
Sure.
you know, with more and more of the cruise lines snatching that up,
Yeah.
and they offer you security by saying, hey, do the excursions through the cruise line. It undercuts the local economy a little bit because they can't run their own stuff, but because people would rather book through the cruise line because they feel safer.
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha.
I mean, it's a thing. But anyhow, we went there, and it was nice. The thing what was nice about it, it's not a busy port, and so like 15 minutes from the elevator to the island, like that's all.
Not
it's
bad.
Yeah.
Not bad.
And most of that was waiting in line to get off the ship.
Yeah.
But the pier's really short. There was one other ship there, and then there's a free public beach. So you could go, and like we spent like $12, and it was at Starbucks. So
Nice. Clear
Yeah.
water.
oh man, so
Beautiful
blue,
water.
so blue.
Sharks.
Yeah, probably. We did see
Stingrays.
we saw a sea turtle.
A
from our
sea
balcony.
turtle?
Dude.
Crush?
Yeah, for real. It
bro.
It was bigger than your kitchen table.
No
if you
way.
had one, it was huge. It was huge.
If I had one.
Yeah.
I think so.
I'm just teasing.
I don't have one.
Yeah, but no, it was every bit as big as your desk. I mean, like
That's
if you can't
amazing.
if you can't see Cody's desk, it's a big desk.
It's a big desk.
So, but we were able. I mean, we were on the 11th, like story
Yeah.
of the cruise ship, and he was a big boy
Oh
from
my
11 stories
gosh,
up.
dude.
So,
And you've
yeah.
seen him just floating in the water.
We seen him like just kind of bouncing up and down, and he like, yeah,
Dude,
Emily.
I would love that.
Yeah,
I would flip out if I saw a sea turtle.
It was freaking cool,
man.
And we saw them over and over, and we thought we saw a shark, but you don't know. No,
I want a pet turtle.
Yeah,
like a big one, so I could just put it in the backyard and just throw heads of lettuce out to it.
Yeah, like a big little snapper.
That's what I want. Yeah.
So yeah, it was awesome. It was cool. So if you were going to go on a cruise, Cody, where'd you go? What's your
You know where I would go?
Where?
Alaska.
Dude, I want to go to Alaska so bad.
I want to do an Alaskan cruise for sure. I mean, I've only ever heard of I know you can go cruises on just about anywhere.
Yeah,
I've heard of the Mexico, going to Mexico cruises, and Bahamas, obviously.
Yeah. Caribbean cruises are usually the cheapest.
Because I would love my friend, him and his family went to the student I used to be an aide for. His family went on an Alaskan cruise a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And dude, it was incredible for them. They got to take pictures with actual sled dogs who raced in the Iditarod.
That's cool.
And all that stuff, man. It was cool. And the scenery was just beautiful. And I just want to see Alaska anyway.
Yeah.
So I think if I would right now, first cruise ever, I'd love to go see Alaska.
Yeah. So. I would tell you do a Caribbean cruise first.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then when you go on another cruise, it's not a disappointment. Because when you go on the Alaskan cruise, that's going to be the new standard of what you want to do.
Right.
But if you go on a Caribbean cruise, number one, much cheaper.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Much cheaper. If you go in winter months, it's even cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
And then, they're a little bit shorter. There are cheaper flights. You're just flying into Miami. So, our flights were super cheap. You fly out to Seattle, it's crazy expensive. So,
yeah.
Or fly to Alaska. And then, if you do a one-way cruise.
Right.
Excuse me. Yeah, that's how you save on cruise fare because you're not gone 12 days. You're gone,
Yeah, man. That's
7.
crazy.
But, yeah.
That's crazy.
Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I almost went on a cruise in 2011, I think.
Okay.
I had everything ready. I just needed to go get my passport. This is sad. My grandmother passed, and I wasn't able to go, but I was so close. Yeah. There was a bunch of us going, and there was so many of us going, and for the rate or whatever, it was going to be $200 a person.
Oh yeah,
so it was fantastic.
Cruising used to be cheaper than it is now, and it's still really economical.
Yeah. So yeah, so close.
We'll get you out there, man.
Yeah, man.
You'll have a good time.
Yeah.
So all right, I feel like this is going to be a lot of me talking again.
I love that. Hey, you know what? I wanted to shout out a listener.
Oh, okay.
Liam.
Yes.
What up, Liam?
What up,
this guy?
Liam?
We see him every night at every
Liam
Sunday
Peacock.
night, and he talks about our podcast, and he quotes it and everything. Man, he was quoting some of the stuff, and I'm like, "What in the world, bro?"
Yeah, he
I don't even know what
he knows he knows our bits, different things that we've done. You know, he's like, "Oh, I really liked what was it? Recasting
the Christmas movies.
Recasting the Christmas movie." So, all right, if you were going to recast Batman from Dark Knight,
oh, bro,
get rid of.
I just talked about this today.
Who
I'm going. Not everybody may know this actor, but his name's Jensen Ackles. I'm going full on Jensen Ackles or Alan Richter, who is right now Reacher.
Yeah, he would be awesome.
Yeah, I'm going those two. Jensen Ackles play. Now, here's the thing. I don't recommend this show at all. It's called The Boys.
Okay.
So I'm not saying go watch it. Don't go watch it.
Okay, I know the show you're talking about.
Yeah, he's in that show. He was also one of the two guys in the show Supernatural. I never watched it, but he got super popular from that show. And he is so he's kind of like middle of the road where he's not old, but he's also not young. So he's just grizzled enough to be a perfect Bruce Wayne.
I think John Krasinski would be fun.
Really?
Kind of fun, funny, but still intense.
Yeah,
he's not really sad enough, I guess.
I would need to see him more of a darker
or Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd would be interesting. He would be interesting.
Or just have Robert Downey Jr. do it. So,
he's doing everything. He's being heroes and villains in Marvel.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Well, they noticed that like nobody watches their movies anymore. So
yeah,
they're like, we got to bring back the old guys.
Dude, that's true. So I'm really into Daredevil Born Again.
Okay.
The new show.
I feel like I'm lost. I watched the first episode and I was
Did you watch the original Netflix show?
I watched the original Daredevil Netflix years ago.
Yeah.
But then I didn't watch the Defenders.
Oh yeah, there was.
I didn't watch that. I didn't
Cage.
watch. Yeah, I did watch Luke Cage.
Punisher.
I did watch Punisher. I watched those two.
Yeah.
Hey, some on Netflix. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
0 Day.
Oh, I just started it today.
It's good.
I just watched episode 1.
I finished it last night, and it's a limited series, and it doesn't leave you wanting a lot more. It's like it does a good job of tying everything up.
I started it because it was a limited series.
Yeah.
So I'm nerding out right now.
It's really good
because of Daredevil, and I'm getting into comics. So I started Batman Court of the Owls series, and I finished 1, and I'm getting ready to finish volume 2.
Just remember, you laughed at me about magic, so
yeah, I did.
I'm being really kind to you.
You don't have to be kind to me. Yeah. I like wrestling. I like
wrestling.
If I haven't expressed it enough on this podcast, I am a huge. Kia doesn't know what to do with me because I nerd out on what they call the dirt sheets of wrestling. So I go I know a lot of crap beyond the mat. Okay. But you know this, like when I'm into something, I'm into it.
Yeah, that's right. That's true.
So I'm not going to I don't have anything to give you a hard time about. So I finally do.
Magic,
dude.
I love it.
And that's, so here we are.
I wish I knew more tricks. My problem is after I do a trick, I want to show people how I did it. Well,
you're going to make listeners disappear if you keep talking about magic.
That is not true. People love it. Magic is delightful.
I would love it if I was at a show.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Well, okay, something we always do here on the podcast, though, is like if I'm going to preach or if you're going to preach, a lot of times we go through that together.
Love it.
And I always appreciate that. So our listeners will be getting this the day after my message.
Yes, sir.
So for you all, this might be a little bit of repeat, but for me, gives me a really good chance to kind of work out some kinks, make sure that everything is good to go. And so sometimes it's good to have that conversational thing, new things come up. So, thank you, listener, for being a part of this. Yes. Thank you for listening to all my cruise stories.
Yes.
And then now thank you for listening to my message. But, so we've been in a series.
Yeah. Pretty good one.
And it's about the 7 woes. And the 7 woes to the Pharisees from Jesus right before he's arrested. It's like he is telling the Pharisees off. If you don't know who the Pharisees are, it's like the religious elite at that time. And they, more than religious elite, they had political power. They had the Hebrew people were going to look to them for leadership, for their own customs and their own identity as a people. Though they were subjugated by Rome, the Romans allowed the Pharisees to exist, and the Pharisees kind of worked as the representatives of the Hebrew people. So they were allowed to have them. Anyway, so the Pharisees were more powerful than a pastor, more influential than a pastor.
For sure.
More influential than the Pope. Like they had real authority. Like, not that the Pope doesn't have real authority or pastors don't have real authority, but they had authority enough that they could bend the ear of Rome and bend the law to what they wanted to do. So it's important to understand that about them, and it's important to understand what Jesus is doing here. So I don't know if you ever had one of those days, real quick.
Yeah.
I don't want to put you on the spot.
Okay.
But I do want to put you on the spot.
Yeah, do it.
You're a big music guy.
Love music.
What are the songs you go to? Like your go-to songs when you're just like, I am having a bad day and I just need to rage a little bit.
If I need to rage a little bit?
Rage a little bit. How much Kendrick do you listen to?
A lot. Yeah, a lot. If I'm raging and I'm conscious and I'm making a good conscious decision, I will turn on worship music.
Okay.
And my go-to with that would be probably like somewhere like Maverick City or older Maverick City, something that's kind of prayerful, slow. But if I'm raging, it's something like Tupac, Biggie, some 90 Mobb Deep, older stuff.
Okay,
you know,
all right.
Or Creed, or
really?
Or I like Metallica.
Okay,
put on some For Whom the Bell Tolls, and I'll rock it.
For me, it's all anything punk rock.
Yeah,
and if I'm being really real here, like Linkin Park, yes, but Limp Bizkit. Break stuff.
Oh, break stuff, dude. Oh my gosh, you know what? Rage Against the Machine. I will turn that on every time.
Yeah, Rise Against, you know, that kind of stuff. That is where we were talking about like what are the songs that you listen to when you get really mad, when you've had one of those days. On the way back from Chicago, and we were with PJ and Rahab, and so I played break stuff. And PJ goes, I didn't know that was in you. That you'd ever feel those things. Like, I'm not that intense, you know, man. But
that's a good one. That's a good
man.
Solid, dude.
Yeah, don't listen to it, friends. Or listen to the clean version, but even still, you know, just
throw in some Metallica.
So what the tendency is with Jesus in this situation where he's freaking out on the Pharisees, like really not freaking out, but he's really telling them what's up. Like, woe to you. You guys, you know, this is where you get the whitewashed tombs, the cup that you've cleaned the outside, but you've ignored the inside. You know, you brood of vipers. You know, like that sort of. This is Jesus really leaning in hard on them. And there's so I don't watch The Chosen, but I saw a clip, like a commercial for they're doing like a really big like Holy Week one.
They are. Yeah.
So it's like this I think it might even be in theaters. But anyway, they were showing a commercial for it, and there was Jesus telling the guy that's playing Jesus is telling the Pharisees these things. And it cuts to an image of one of the disciples, and he's like, what have you done? And because the reality is like this, the timing of all of this, Jesus goes through the triumphal entry, then he makes his way to the temple, and like he's turning over tables in the temple. And we kind of, I think sometimes we sell that short. Like, oh yeah, Jesus was really mad, he turned over some tables. No, like imagine if somebody went into the farmer's market and just started flipping people's jam and jelly tables.
It'd be a mess.
It was like that, except for the animals were in cages and they ran off. You know, so it's like,
and that's their livelihood.
And instead of smashing iPads for the point of sale system, it's like it's coins all over the place. And so he's leaning like, and again, I don't know about you, but I feel like if somebody started flipping tables at the farmer's market, some of the farmers would have something to say to them
for sure.
But Jesus. Apparently nobody wanted to stick up for him because he had a whip, you know, and so they were out of that guy's way. Anyway, so he does that. Then the next day he's walking to the synagogue, tries to get fruit from this fig tree. Fig tree has no fruit. He says, "Cursed are you, fig tree! You'll bear no more fruit, dead tree." I just imagine if I were the disciples and I'm watching Jesus do this, I'm like, oh man. Oh no! I thought he slept this off. You know, and then, so they roll into the temple, and now he's had these questions from the Pharisees. They try to trap him, and he's like giving them answers left and right. Then he spins it on them and asks them questions, and they have no idea. And then he leans into the woes, these 7 woes, where he tells them how it is. And again, if we're not careful, we can look at this like Jesus has had enough. He snapped. You know, he's had one of those days. But it's important that we remember what Jesus says in John chapter 10, as he's referring to himself as the good shepherd. He said, for this reason, the Father loves me, because I lay down my life that I may take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have the authority to lay it down. I have the authority to take it up again. All right. That's important because it reminds us that Jesus is doing this deliberately. This wasn't a rage thing. This wasn't like where he'd finally had enough. No, he's laying down his life.
It wasn't a reaction for him.
That clip of the disciple, meaning like, what have you done?
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It wasn't a mistake.
Right.
He knew what he was doing. It was on purpose. It's intentional.
Right.
And it matters because this is Jesus saying these words that were so critical, knowing that these words were essentially going to nail him to the cross. So he didn't slip up.
Wow.
These were picked on purpose. And so if we look at the woes in that way, it changes the way we hear them. We don't hear them as like Jesus's Limp Bizkit track,
right?
Yeah,
this is it. Yeah,
we see this as like he is choosing his last words wisely.
Oh my goodness, dude!
And it's intentionally and it's carefully. And so as we think about the woes, it's important that we think about it like that because it reframes the way that this all goes. And so my woe is in Matthew chapter 23, like all of them.
Yep.
And I pick up in verse 16. I'm just going to read it. Jesus says to the Pharisees, he says, "Woe to you, blind guides, who say, if anyone swears by the temple, it's nothing. But if anyone swears by the gold of the temple, he's bound by his oath. You blind fools, which is greater, the gold or the temple that made which is greater, the gold or the temple that has made the gold sacred? And you say, if anyone swears by the altar, it is nothing. But if anyone swears by the gift that is on the altar, he is bound by his oath. You blind men, for which is greater, the gift or the altar that makes the gift sacred? So whoever swears by the altar swears by it and everything on it. And whoever swears by the temple swears by it and him who dwells in it. And whoever swears by heaven swears by the throne of God and him who sits upon it." So you got oaths and like this idea, but I think that there's something more here. But before we get into that, I want to lean into this blindness.
Yeah.
This insult, this name that he gives to the Pharisees. You blind guys.
Yeah.
Guides. You blind fools. Not guys. You blind fools. You blind Pharisees.
Yeah.
You blind men.
Yeah.
Like whatever it is, like he is leaning into blindness. Now, are they obviously blind? No. He's not talking about physical blindness.
Right.
And this isn't the first time that Jesus ever remarks on their blindness. If you remember back in John chapter 9.
Come on.
There's... Oh, man. Now I'm really rolling.
Come on.
In John chapter 9, Jesus heals a man that was born blind, spits in the mud, wipes on his face.
Yeah.
Dude goes and washes his face, comes back, and like the Pharisees are kind of like they're mad at him for being healed.
Absolutely.
They're mad at him because he's like, I think Jesus did it. And they're like, where'd he go? Well, I don't know. I was blind. And then, I didn't see him.
Right.
I didn't see which direction he went, and I was blind until I washed my face. And they're like, well, this guy's evil. He couldn't have done it. Well, like, I'm telling you the truth. He gets put on trial with them.
Yeah.
Back and forth. Ultimately, they end up throwing him out of the temple. Throwing him out of the temple. And it says this. When Jesus had heard that they cast him out, having found the man, he said, "Do you believe in the Son of Man?" The man answered, "Who is he, sir, that I may believe in him?" Jesus said to him, "You've seen him, and it is he who is speaking to you." He said, "Lord, I believe," and he worshipped him. Jesus said, "For judgment I came into this world, that those who do not see may see, and those who see may become blind." Some of the Pharisees near him heard him say these things, and he said to him, "Are we also blind?" And Jesus said to them, "If you were blind, you would have no guilt. If you were blind, you would have no guilt. But now that you say, we see, your guilt remains." Jesus is calling out a blindness in them. He's calling out a blindness in them here as well. He's reminding them, he's saying, you pretend to know who God is, what God wants. But he goes further than that. Not knowing is a problem, but it's a redeemable one. Again, Jesus has come to make the blind see.
Sure.
If you look back in Luke chapter 4, where Jesus is giving his first sermon, he pulls from the scroll of Isaiah.
Come on,
and he said, I've come here, like today the scripture is fulfilled. I've come to help the blind, or make the blind see, something to that effect. But it's he tells people right up front, like, I'm here to make the people who cannot see. And we oftentimes just look at that literal parallel there, because he does heal blind people.
Sure.
He's after a deeper and bigger blindness, and he's after the blindness of the Pharisees. He's not just trying to make them feel bad.
Right.
He's trying to compel them to open their eyes.
Wow.
But then he goes on and he does say, you blind guides. You blind guides. I learned really quick. There are things in youth ministry I'm good at, and there's things I'm bad at.
Right.
And one of the things I'm bad at is being the lead car in a caravan. Like, I suck at it.
Because you go too fast?
No, I just don't really know where I'm going. And so what happens, I discovered this when we were doing junior high trips in St. Louis. My cousin Tim, if he's listening to this, he's laughing because it's about the closest he ever got to killing me. Because like it's bad enough to not really have like an idea of where you're going to go. But when everybody else is following you and they almost get in an accident and they run a red light and all these other things, there's all.
You don't have GPS?
Oh, dude, this was like 2011 MapQuest, baby.
MapQuest.
You know? So anyway, it was crazy time. Crazy time. Anyway, I'm still terrible at it. Yeah. Absolutely terrible at it. And so I either drive too fast or I don't think about people being behind me, needing to follow me.
It's not easy.
And I'm just infamously bad at it. But the problem isn't that I'm bad at it. It's the problem is I keep putting myself in situations where I am the leader.
Right.
And it's like the blind leading the blind. And they're the ones who suffer more than I do.
Yeah.
Because they find themselves in a worse spot. And it's the same thing with these Pharisees. It's that they've claimed to have this faith. They claim to have this religion. They claim to have this relationship with God. They claim to know the way forward. They claim to know all these things. And Jesus calls them out. He says, you're hypocrites.
Wow.
You say that you've got it. And you might even say the right things. But your practice and your claims don't match up. You're blind guides. You can't actually lead people to the place that you don't know where you're going.
Oh, that's good.
And so he's calling out that blindness. But then he goes on and he talks about oaths. And so is he talking about promises and that kind of stuff? I think so, but we're not really going to look at that.
Right.
Like, because I think that Jesus, yes, does he want us to keep our word? Yes. But I don't think that's the point of this passage. I think what Jesus is doing, he's drawing out something deeper with that oath. He's pointing out for the Pharisees, he's saying, listen, you only trust things that you can control. It's like, it's not enough that somebody swears by the temple.
Yeah.
I mean, this is God's dwelling place.
Right.
You would think that if somebody says, I swear by God's dwelling place.
Right.
That, that space inside the temple that you won't go into, the Holy of Holies, I swear by that. Something that you're so afraid of to go into at the wrong time because you might be struck dead. I swear by that.
Wow.
But they say we don't uphold that. We can't trust your oath unless you swear by the gold of the temple. You have to pay that. We have to be able to see the money. We need that security. Or it's like if you swear by the altar, that's not enough. You have to swear by the gift that's on the altar. And it might be the value of that sacrificed thing, but it also could just be the value of the religious practice.
Yeah.
This idea that we have to have controllable collateral if we're going to trust you. And really what Jesus is saying is like, this is evidence of your lack of faith.
Wow.
You don't trust the God of the temple. You don't trust the God of the altar. You don't trust the God of the heavens to uphold people's oaths.
Wow.
And you have to have some sort of backing.
Yeah.
And he's like, do you not understand? You people who claim faith.
Yeah.
You only have faith in the things you can control, and faith in things you can control is not faith at all.
It's not faith.
It's not. Whew. And so Jesus calls this out of them. Yeah. And to like paraphrase it and like put it in a different way, to marry the blindness and the lack of faith, he says, you claim to have faith. You claim to see.
Yeah.
You claim to have faith. But in practice, you only trust what you can control. You only trust the things that you have a hand on. So on Sunday.
Oh, I'm the Pharisee. Oh my Lord.
We're getting there. Don't ruin it.
Yeah.
So on Sunday we're gonna play a game. And it's gonna be like name that bad guy. It's gonna be really fun.
Okay.
But ultimately we're gonna land on Cars.
Okay.
Have you watched Cars?
I don't know it enough to know the bad guys in it.
Okay. Well, that's great.
I know Mater.
You know Mater. Do you know
Mater?
Lightning McQueen?
I know he's the main character, right?
Okay. Lightning McQueen is both the good guy and the bad guy.
Okay.
The story, there's not a bad guy in Cars. I mean, there's like some people that he races against, but they're not bad. It's not like, Avengers with Thanos. It's not like the Wicked Witch with, like Dorothy, I don't know. It's not as clear cut.
Okay.
There is like, you see Lightning McQueen be his own worst enemy.
And
you watch him change. So with this story, a lot of times we look at it and we're immediately like, this is clear cut. The Pharisees are bad. They're bad people.
Yeah, man.
Really, they were just wrong people.
Right.
They're prideful people. And their pride led them to do some evil things.
Right.
But Brian said at the very beginning of this series, he called it out.
Yeah.
So we have a lot more in common with the Pharisees than we care to admit.
Yeah, we do.
Than we ever want to believe.
Absolutely.
It's easy to stand over here and be like, no, those are the bad guys. But really, they're more like Lightning McQueen. That's what Jesus is inviting them to, is this transformation power where maybe through some exposure here, you might change. Again, remember, Luke chapter 4, the first things that he's saying. He quotes it from Isaiah. I'm going to see if I can find it real fast.
Yeah.
He quotes it from, he quotes it from the prophet Isaiah, and he reminds the people what he's there for. First message he's ever preached, and he says, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim liberty to the captives and the recovering of sight to the blind. Now, I'm probably not going to mention this on Sunday because it'll get me in trouble, maybe potentially in trouble, because I haven't done a lot of research here. But I noticed today as I was looking at Isaiah 61, where Jesus is quoting this, it actually doesn't mention blind in Isaiah 61.
Okay.
So I don't know if Jesus just like snuck that in there.
Yeah.
Or what.
Wow.
But it's not in there.
Right.
And so now it might be in another part of Isaiah.
Sure.
And he just kind of compiled those two things together.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a coincidence, that at the beginning of Jesus' ministry, he's saying, this is what I'm here for.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the ministry, he's still calling out blindness. And he's compelling people to see. And he's inviting us to that as well. That's what he's doing. He's saying like, hey, thanks be to God that he is the one who restores sight to the blind. We have hope of changing. The Pharisees have hope of changing.
Absolutely.
If we humble ourselves to be changed by him. So if this is helpful, imagine that Jesus is sitting across the table from you.
Yeah.
And instead of him telling the Pharisees this, he's looking at you and he's saying, hey, Cody, you claim to have faith, but in practice, do you really have faith, or do you only trust the things that you can control?
Absolutely.
And what do those things look like?
Oh, my.
What do those things look like? Brian did something last week. Awesome. One of my favorite parts, actually probably my favorite part of his message last week.
Yeah.
He talked about like, if you have to decide to do something with like God. You either have to decide there is no God, or decide that there is a God, or maybe you decide there's multiple gods, or your God.
Right.
That was it. Like those are your alternatives. Make yourself God, say there is no God, or have multiple gods. And he said this thing when he said, if you believe there is no God, this is all you've got.
Wow.
And he says, I want to get it right. He says, I hope your work saves you.
Wow.
I hope your nice house saves you. I hope that your 401k saves you. I hope your politics save you. I hope your medical care saves you. I hope your fancy tech saves you. And I was listening to this and I'm like, yeah, people don't believe in God. So stupid. Like I don't trust in those things. They're so fickle. You look at them and they pass away. And you're like,
right.
As a Christian person, you're like, thank God I believe in God, because those things can't be trusted.
Yeah.
And this isn't all I've got. And that's so encouraging. But you see where I'm going here.
Yeah.
You and I believe in God.
We do.
I believe in God.
Right.
But how often do I look like that?
Absolutely.
Like I'm trusting
absolutely
everything else.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Instead of trusting God.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't believe that God can show up, but it's way easier to have faith in that really isn't faith. What I can control and I can contrive. I end up looking a lot like somebody who doesn't believe in God and who's trying to control all the things myself.
My goodness.
I think that sometimes we get so caught up in that it damages our faith testimony, because there's no proof that we have faith in something higher, because we feel like we have to have it all together ourselves.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying that people should be lazy.
Right.
Or be irresponsible.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, have we placed security on the throne of our hearts? instead of trusting the one who sits on the throne for our security. Like that's the rub there. That's the tension of this. So anyway,
my goodness.
But again, remember,
Wow.
Luke 4:18.
Yeah.
Jesus is here to recover sight to the blind. That's good news for you and good news for me. But first, application point, you have to admit you got blind spots.
Yeah.
You got to admit where you're blind.
Yep.
Do you like to fly?
I've never flown.
You've never flown before?
No, man. No.
Does it make you like anxious?
No.
Okay.
I've never needed to fly.
I got you.
So and when I look to fly home, it's way more expensive than to just drive 8 hours.
Sure. So I love to fly.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me at all. But one of the things that I find fun is to like watch people on a plane. And like Emily hates flying. I learned PJ doesn't like to fly.
Okay.
And it's that lack of control.
Sure.
It's like, all right, you tell me I'm gonna get on this aircraft and I gotta trust two strangers to not kill me.
And you're in the air.
Yes.
Yeah.
And once you're up there, you're done.
Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah. Going really fast.
Yep. Yeah. And you have no control at that point.
None.
And there are some people, and I like control, don't get me wrong. There's some people, man, that just does them and they can't handle it.
Yeah.
That idea of being out of control.
I would maybe not like it because I like control.
Yeah.
Like over things. Like I don't want to lose. Like I don't want to lose control over like my driving.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like one of my biggest fears driving is losing the steering wheel, like the steering going out.
Oh, okay.
Like that's one of my biggest fears.
Okay.
Because it's like I lose control completely.
Yeah. So I think that's funny because like the reality is that, we all have stuff we like to control. I think that, like, anybody that says they're not a control freak, maybe they're not a control freak in certain ways, but in others, they really like to have a metaphorical hand on the wheel.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So I think that what's important for us is this isn't a message about don't be a control freak.
Yeah.
Don't abdicate responsibility.
Yeah.
That's not the point.
Right.
But the point is, be aware of your blind spots, meaning where do you find security? More so, that supersedes your security in Jesus.
Yeah.
Is like what is it that you need just a little bit more security for?
Yeah.
What do you need just a little bit more security in? Start looking at those things and really understand that, like, yeah, I'm blind too. Like, I have more in common with the Pharisees than I care to believe. And this should hurt a little bit. It should be painful. And again, when Jesus said this, people got so mad they killed him.
My toes are hurting right now.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, and it's good.
Oh, sorry, man. Yeah, and I was joking with the message group today. I said my hope is that somebody walks out and they say, I liked your message, but I hate everything you said.
Exactly.
That will make my heart so happy.
Yeah.
Because Jesus wasn't out here making friends.
It's powerful, man.
With this. This was hard. This was a hard thing. It's that internal inspection of where do you find your security.
Yeah.
And money is usually like an easy go-to thing.
Yeah, it is.
Or health.
Yeah.
Easy go-to thing.
Yeah.
But there's some other things, man. There's relationships.
For sure.
There's relationships and I'm not saying that relationships are bad. But relationships aren't ultimate.
Right.
They're all temporary.
Yeah.
All of it's temporary. And so when Jesus invites us to trust him and place our security in him, he's saying, hey, I'm the only thing that's eternal. And more than that, it's not like, because heaven is eternal and it's always been eternal.
Yeah.
But sometimes we get in that mode of like, I can earn heaven. And that's how I'm going to find my security. I'm going to earn heaven through religious works and religious practice.
Right.
That's a blind spot too.
Absolutely it is.
Because again, that's no faith.
That's a hard blind spot for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So,
feeling like I have to earn it.
And that's like what Jesus is inviting us to is so much richer than that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's not on you. But you have to admit those blind spots. You have to admit where you're blind. And then the next thing, so once you admit you're blind, that's the first important thing.
Yeah.
This next important thing is you have to put yourself in situations where you have to trust God. Specifically, trust God with that thing that you find security in. I was trying to think of like mine. Where do I land in this? And I really covet like fun time, like getting free time and fun time and time for myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's one of the reasons I don't sleep very well is like, excuse me, it's not because I'm like super stressed or anything.
Right.
I mean, I am, but that doesn't cause me to not sleep.
Yeah.
The bigger thing is I'm trying to reclaim my fun time at the end of the day.
We're the same.
It's so I'm staying up till 1 a.m., because I just feel like I got to wake up tomorrow and every second of my day is spoken for.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like that is tough. That's a tough thing for me to deal with.
Yeah.
And so I don't, and
Wow.
what that leads to is number one, some poor choices. But then the other side of it, it leads to not being able to say no. Like tell myself no.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to indulge myself.
Yeah.
And I'm going to, be gluttonous in those indulgences.
Yep.
Because I have to make myself feel better.
Right.
And I'm going to make myself feel better by, having the extra steak.
Wow.
I'm going to make myself feel better by taking more time for disc golf or do whatever the thing is. And I'm not saying, again, we've talked about it before.
Yeah.
Like having independent, like rest time is important.
Right.
But there's a difference in resting where you're in peace, that God is taking care of the situation.
Yeah.
There's a difference in resting and enjoying some of your stuff and then being in a place where you're panic gorging your hobbies or your fun or whatever, because you ultimately, and this is the thing that's shameful here, is I just don't trust the joy of the Lord to be enough to make me happy.
Wow.
So I feel like I have to control my own happiness in that way.
Wow.
And so it's not about finding security in money. It's not about finding security in health. It's not about finding security in being the guy that's steering the airplane. I don't need any of that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to feel like I'm stuck.
My goodness.
Because I just don't trust that the joy of the Lord is enough. And so what that has led me to is to this job where most of the time I get to have a lot of fun. Like there's a lot of really fun things.
Yeah.
But there are other days, man, I'm in my hell. Like the absolute, like pushing me to the brink of the stuff that I don't want to do.
Right.
Because it's not just my problems I'm sitting in, it's other people's.
My goodness, dude.
But here's what's amazing is when I allow myself to push into those spaces, I see that the joy of the Lord is enough. It's enough. Like and he's never not been faithful in that.
Yeah.
And I've never been that miserable in any of it.
Right.
Like not so miserable that I can't see hope on the other side. So if my hope is only in the joy that I can provide myself, that's a fickle hope.
Wow.
And so I have to put myself in positions where the only hope that I have is Jesus.
Oh.
And that's by oftentimes sitting with people in their pain and not running from my own.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do.
Yeah.
And I absolutely hate it. But on the other side of it, I learned to trust Jesus in that. So it's that naming the thing that you're blind about, but then the other thing is putting yourself in a situation where it stretches you, where you allow God to stretch you specifically and where you find your security. So like the invitation there is, man, if you're someone who you only find your security in your relationships with these three people that are really your best friends, put yourself in a space where you got to make a new friend.
Yeah.
Like go join a different group.
Yeah.
And see if God is faithful enough in that moment to help you meet other people.
Yeah.
See what that, or maybe it is financial. What would it look like for you to give more? Like give in such a way where you feel not stress, but you feel like you might actually have to trust. And then
big. It's huge.
Or there's the other side of it too. Like, I think about retirement, and I look around and I just know a lot of people are like their hope is retirement.
Yeah.
They'll finally get to the finish line and everything will be good.
Yeah.
And maybe like their work problems will go away, yeah. But that's not the finish line.
Right.
That's not the end all be all.
Right.
Just getting to retirement is not going to be enough to satisfy your soul. So like there's those pieces as well. I mean, I don't know what it is for people. I know what it is for me.
Right.
And I talked about the joy. There's lots of them though.
Yeah.
Lots of places where I'm grabbing for security. I need to schedule another vacation because otherwise I just don't think I'm going to make it.
Yeah.
You know, like if I don't have something to look forward to, what am I going to do?
Sure.
Well, the reality is Jesus is good. He's good whether I have a cruise schedule or not. Man. And I need to trust that.
Right.
And I need to trust him for my joy and not myself and my own excitement. Anyway, so that's my marching orders. But like the last thing really though is we've been talking about Jesus saying these words, and they are harsh. It is a rebuke, but it's also an invitation. Like Jesus restores sight to the blind, and the way he restores that sight is by saying, it's not on you.
Yeah.
And that is the most beautiful thing in the world.
It's a relief.
And there's something that's just crucial here that we have to understand, that if all we ever do is just chase after the things that we can manipulate and control, or we think that we can appease God through religious service, and that's how we will make him happy with us. Yeah. And that's how we will achieve relationship with God.
Yeah.
We murder the image of a relational father.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like the harsh language here that like I can't use, I'm not going to use on Sunday because I think it would be just too jarring, but it's like turning God into a prostitute.
Wow. Like
you're paying for love.
That's right.
The actions. Yeah,
that's good.
The bits.
That's good.
But you're not actually getting a relationship there. That's not real love.
Whew.
And so when we cheapen God in that way, man, like when we don't see what Jesus is offering us in this, where he says, what if you trusted the one who dwells in the temple?
Oh,
what if you trusted the one who makes the altar sacred? What if you trusted the one who dwells in heaven, who sits on its throne? What if you trusted him with all of your security? Not because you can achieve and make him happy with you, but instead he's given his son to you so that you might be saved through faith. Outside of your control. And that faith is the most secure thing that we can ever latch onto.
Yeah.
Because it's not about us. It's about Jesus. That's hard for us to understand. It's hard for us to accept because we want to have a hand on the steering wheel.
Yeah, it is.
But what if we just trusted that what Jesus has done for us is enough? Man. And let that affect not just our mentality towards God, where we think that he's either like keeping score or counting, demerits or whatever.
Right.
What if we'd allow it to change that relationship with God, but also like change the way that we interact with the world around us? Like, I would hate to look back and see all the opportunities where I could have leaned in a little bit more, maybe stepped into a situation that was a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
But I was too worried about preserving myself. And I missed out on experiencing the joy of the Lord that comes with leaning in to that situation. And instead, I felt like I had to provide joy for my own self. So anyway, that's what I got. We'll take communion. We're outie.
Man, I mean, you just stepped all over me, all over my what I've been, so just, I've just been running towards for the past month. Even when we started doing the podcast again this year, I said one thing I'm working on this year is trust, because I feel like in my moments where I'm needing faith, I'm needing to know that God is going to handle it, I don't have it. And it's because I don't have it. It's because I don't have it in my hand. I can't trust it.
Yeah.
And man, I just going through the bread and wine again.
I've enjoyed that. Like,
man.
I think it's our third year.
Yeah.
Of flipping through it.
2 for me.
Oh, okay. It's my third year. It's really fun to look back and see what I underlined and what really stuck out to me.
I'm double underlining some stuff, and then even now I'm taking notes like at the end where there's a little bit of space. And man, the one about the mirror, looking, and that wrecked my life. And the one thing that I looked at and I saw, my big thing was trust, because I've been, it's been a very stressful few months, and the one thing that I've realized is like, man, there's been some moments where I really didn't trust God.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to control it, and I was trying to control it, and I did try to control it, and then God worked it out anyway.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like I ended up on my face a little bit, like, yeah, your way wasn't going to work. I already had it figured out. While you were stressing out and trying to do it your way, I literally already planned it.
Yeah.
I literally already did it.
Yeah.
It's powerful stuff.
Yeah, and it's tough. It's hard because like there's this sort of message. There's always the twofold approach. We have agency in our faith, and we need it. And it's not like just sit back and relax and let
right.
God. I mean, like Jesus calls us to action.
Absolutely.
And so I'm always like the conflicting voice in my head is that hey man, you can't give people permission to just like.
Right.
Relax.
Right.
But at the same time, that's like Jesus' whole point here is like, hey, stop it. You know, like you place too much emphasis on gold.
Yeah.
Because you want to control.
Yeah.
You place too much emphasis on the gift on the altar because you want to control.
Yeah. And I do think there's a difference, like you said, there's a difference in our active faith and how we are active, or how we take it too far and we put that security on the throne of our hearts instead of having Jesus there. Yeah. I think there's the fine line that we have to walk in what is our actions saying? Are our actions saying that we have something else in the throne there? Yeah. Sitting in the throne of our hearts. Yeah. That's powerful stuff, man. I can't wait.
I'm excited about this one. I was not excited at all.
Really?
It's the woes. Yeah, it's like, man.
See,
and then when I first read it, I was like, promises? Really? That's you talk about like, hey, keep your word. Yeah. It's like, oh, come on. I'm sure that like that's not it, right? Right. And then I started flipping through some of those commentaries, and then I got into the Blue Letter Bible, the blind thing. Really, like I got to preach on John chapter 9. Mm-hmm. Yeah, John chapter 9, I think last year, 2 years ago. Yep. Loved it.
I think it was last year.
Yeah, it was so fun. Yeah. That's one of my favorite messages I've ever got to preach.
Man, I like it. I just love a challenging, chew on it all day word that I'm gonna walk out and I'm gonna say, man, that was a word and I hated it. Yeah. Because of how much it I only hated it because of how much it wrecked my life.
Well, good. That's what, again.
I love that type of stuff.
I really hope that people that listen to my message are like, oh, yeah. I thought it was good, but man, I did not like everything you said. Because because it wasn't true. Because it's hard to wrestle with that. Yeah. And so, and again, not in like a condemning way as much as it is like just like an invitation to be like, hey, heart check. Yeah. Where are you at?
Yeah. It's that mirror moment when we're looking back and we're saying, hey, we don't look so good.
Right.
And, that's tough. Right. That's very tough. Yeah. I love it, man. That was powerful stuff. I was sitting over here and I know, you can't see, but just wrecked me.
All right.
Just wrecked my soul, man.
You're helping me out quite a bit.
A couple times, man, just wanted to throw the mic. I wanted to throw this thing out of my face. Like I just,
yeah.
That's good stuff. I'm so excited. People who are listening, I hope they take notes. I hope they go back, take some notes on this, man. Quote this thing. Send some quotes out.
Well, I want to see what changes. That's the thing. It's like, we're doing this on Thursday before I preach on Sunday, and then it's always fun to look on Monday really and see kind of what changed from Thursday to Sunday.
Man, it's beautiful. That's beautiful stuff. Hey, listen, here's something cool.
Okay.
All right. That was beautiful. And if you liked that, message, if you loved this episode, okay,
where are you going?
here's the thing. We want to hear from you.
Okay.
All right. And we've never received anything from anybody other than just text messages and all this stuff. But we're getting a lot of listeners. So if you're listening to this, I want you to get on your phones, get on your computers, and I want you to email us at badapplesconnect@gmail.com.
Yes.
And I want you to just let us know. Write to us.
Was Bad Apples Pod taken?
It was.
Oh my gosh.
Bad Apples Pod was taken. Bad Apples Podcast was taken. The Bad Apples Podcast was taken.
Oh, man.
So I'm like, all right, Bad Apples Connect.
Oh, yeah.
So, hey, you know what? Reach out to us, write to us, let us know. Just say, hey. Just say, hey, what's up?
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, so we get in the analytics. You get the analytics.
Yeah,
and every week, Cody,
it's crazy.
Cody sends me a message. He's like, dude, we have all of these listeners from all of these places.
Yeah.
Like we just broke our download record. And, and I'm like, who is it? Because I only ever hear from the same people that have been telling me they've been listening to it.
Right. I don't know what's going on, but people are going back and listening to episodes from 2023. Like people are going back.
All right.
I'm with you.
Well,
with it, man.
We're thankful for all of our listeners.
Yeah,
we love you. I think we do this anyway.
I think we do. I really do. I think it's just a special time for us to get together.
Right.
And I think that's the beauty of it is it really is just two friends getting together. My best friend just coming and hanging out with me.
That's right, baby.
And we're having conversations. You know what I mean? That was a crazy one. Let's do it again. There we go. That was better. We're just hanging out and we're just hitting record on conversations that we have, and then one day we'll have the B-rolls where you may get the kitchen conversations.
No, they don't get the kitchen conversations.
But yeah, man, it's just a beautiful thing.
That's right, man.
It is a beautiful thing.
So, well, Cody, I love you.
I love you.
I love our podcast.
I love
our listeners.
Yeah, I love them too.
And I love Jesus. And I hope he changes my heart.
Yes, Jesus, work on our hearts.
I really do.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Garrett, tell them what they want to hear.
Oh, geez. All right. This is your line. God loves us first. Mm-hmm. God loves us best. Mm-hmm. God loves us most. This
is the Bad Apples Podcast.
Yes, it is.
Well.
Catch you next week, hopefully.
I will see you there or see you at another time.